not guilty. The not guilty or guilty plea means that you're admitting to the citations, and then what I do for that is I review the police report. If there's a factual basis, I'll find, accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. No contest is similar to a guilty plea, but you're not admitting guilt, but you want it to basically be over tonight. It's akin to saying, I'm not admitting guilt, but I don't want to challenge it. So I'll review the citation. If there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty as well. Now, a not guilty plea is, that's where you believe that either that you would be proven not guilty at a court of law, or that the city would not be able to meet its burden for the offense. And that normally what I do yes.
So just to make sure I'm understanding, there's the only difference between a guilty and a no contest is what?
Is that you're not admitting guilt.
Oh, okay.
What happens is, if you're not admitting guilt, say if you get in a traffic accident, like you failed to run a stop sign, if you're found guilty, they sue you later, they can use that guilty plea against you. If you use no contest plea, never really admitted guilt, so they can't use that no contest plea against you then. They can say that you're guilty, but that was by operation of the court and not a mental state then.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but before we get to those are the three plea options, but I want to make sure that I get your make sure that I have the right address for you, and I want to advise you of the citations as well.
Sure.
So what happens for these is I can review the police report, and what I do is that I can still see you in the corner, but I will review the police report, but what I do is I review just to make sure that I got your address. Your address correct. and the fine amount and everything else.
Okay.
Make sure that I can open that. Okay. My computer always waits till I'm in court while it does some updates. So.
That's all right. My kids always cry when I'm trying to talk, so they're outside now with the neighbors, so we should be good.
Okay. So if I could, what is your address?
1701 Chapin or Chapin, I don't know how it's pronounced. Chapin Lane in Stoughton.
Okay, that's in Stoughton. So 53589. Okay, maybe I have this up yet. See if it's still updating. Hey Mary, are you still there?
Yes.
Is there any way I can stop updates from going on to this? I don't really need any updates to this. It always wants to update everything in my computer, and I don't really need to.
The one thing you can do is schedule them to happen at a certain time. I can have John set that up for you. He's not here right now.
Right. Okay. That's
do you have access to email? Because I could.
Sorry, Ms. Russell, for the technical difficulties. So for an OWI, the elements for an operating while intoxicated are as follows: that you're operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated under either premises held up for the public use or a state highway. Now the penalties are as follows. It's usually between it has to be between $150 and $300 forfeiture. However, they add a $355 surcharge to that. So the fine is usually around between like $800 and $1,000. In addition to the fine, your driver's license can be revoked from 6 to 9 months.
Which that's already occurred.
Incorrect. You would have received a notice of an administrative suspension. That lasts 6 months. This is a revocation period that actually is, when you're revoked, it's a little more serious than that.
Okay, so, when it said that I could get it back in March, I thought that meant, it started now and then
on a
March.
Suspension, right. I run my revocation periods similar to with, concurrently or at the same time as the suspension, but I can suspend you I can revoke you from 6 to 9 months. And that means if you, depending on your blood alcohol level, if you're below 1.5, it's 6. If it's a 1.5 to a 0.2, it's 7. If you're above a 0.2, it's 8. And if there's a traffic accident, I usually bump it up a month then.
Sure.
That's
okay.
how that works. So you got a fine, you got a driver's license revocation. If you're found guilty, you have to attend an alcohol and drug assessment class, and 6 points would be assessed against your driver's license.
And
in addition,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That class, is that something that like my therapist I'm seeing now can do, or is this something like the state, you go here, you know what I
It's the
mean?
state, it's a state
Okay.
imposed. So normally what happens is you go through the assessment, they interview for about 90 minutes and determine if there's a substance abuse problem or issues. Then they usually have you attend group classes, usually
Okay.
between, I think, 4 and 8 classes.
Okay.
Usually with that. So that's the alcohol assessment. 6 points would be assessed to your driver's license. And if your blood alcohol level was a 0.15 or higher, what would happen is that I must order an interlock ignition device be installed on all vehicles registered in your name for a period of 12 months. In
Okay.
addition, that not only just in your name, but I would put in the restriction that you would, for the next 12 months, you would have to have an IID. If you're driving somebody else's car and you get pulled over, that would have to have an IID as well.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, there could be criminal penalties if you're pulled over driving without an IID. And there's a $50 surcharge for that.
Okay.
So those are all the penalties for an operating while intoxicated. There's also a operating with a prohibited alcohol concentration. Now that citation basically says that instead of just operating while under the influence, you're also operating a motor vehicle with a prohibited alcohol concentration. In Wisconsin, first offense, 0.08 or higher. Now these
Gotcha.
are two separate citations, but the penalties are actually, you only can be penalized on one. So
That's
remember
what
when
the
I went through the
policeman
100?
told me.
Yep, exactly. So I can find you guilty on one, but both, but only impose the penalties on one.
Gotcha.
Okay. So have I adequately explained all? Do you have any questions regarding what the elements of an OWI would be?
I don't think so. I mean, it's pretty straightforward and what you just said. So
Okay, good. When I say OWI, that's shorthand for operating while intoxicated then. So I've gone over the fines, the penalties, the ramifications. We talked about suspension and revocation. Do you have any questions for me?
no, I guess so. Whatever your decision is tonight, do I then wait for more paperwork? Like how do I?
It depends on your plea, basically. So
Okay.
normally
Okay.
what happens is if you enter a no contest or guilty plea, I'll review the police report to make sure there's a factual basis. If there is, then what happens then is that I will find you guilty and impose those penalties. And if I'll also Mary will send you the paperwork, and once you get that, you're required to sign up for an assessment within 72 hours of you receiving that.
Okay.
Normally,
cool.
if we're actually having in-person court, I would hand you the assessment and give it to you, but then we can't do that, so we have to mail it out instead.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Did that answer your questions?
Yes.
All right. Any further questions for me?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options would be guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Guilty.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, I'll review the police report, and if there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me review the police report. I want to make sure I have factual basis. I've got an icon up, so it should have downloaded by now.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, that's this sheet. Might take me a little bit to find this. Hang on a second.
Nope, that's fine. I'm just spying on the kids.
Okay. How are they doing?
Good. They're 4 and 2, so.
Oh, okay. There it is. Yeah, your bond deposit was $861, so it was within the range that I described before.
Yep.
All right, and get to the police report.
There is no accident report. I was requesting that from the PD, but have not received it yet. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, Ms. Russell, I've had the opportunity to review the police report. There is a factual basis for your plea. I'll accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
Or what do you mean? Sorry. No.
Is there anything you want to say before I decide on how much to fine you or revoke you or anything like that?
No,
So-
I'm guilty of it and completely trust your judgment on
Okay.
what needs to happen.
Let me ask you one question. It was just your car involved? There was no other vehicles involved?
Correctly, that's what the policeman had said.
Okay.
I was out of it. and
Okay.
That was a
Since-
question I asked the policeman at the house or whatever.
Okay.
police
I'll make the
station.
following, I found you guilty. I'll make the following findings. I'll make the findings that your blood alcohol content was a 0.12. So that's below the 0.15 limit. So there's going to be no IID, no surcharge for that. And you won't have to worry about installing an interlock ignition device either in your vehicles or driving for the next 12 months. So now there was an accident involved, but it just seems like it was a one-car accident. It just seems that there was nobody else was hurt. And because of that,
Thankfully.
it's within my discretion that I'm going to order the minimum 6-month driver's license revocation to run concurrently with your suspension.
Okay.
I'll order that the face amount of the citation was, I believe, $861, and I'll find that to be appropriate. You will be there will be an alcohol and drug assessment mandate that you have to attend, and 6 demerit points will be issued your license. So I'll have my clerk Mary send you the assessment. Once you get that, sign up for it, attend the assessment, and do the follow required classes. There will be the DOT will be informed, and you'll have a once the DOT is informed, then they'll have to have you complete the driver safety plan, which would be the assessments, the required follow-up, and then I think that's it. Once you're eligible for reinstatement in 6 months, then you can just make sure that you follow the reinstatement instructions as well. Normally that is I think it's a $75 surcharge, right, Mary? You pay a $75 surcharge, and then you get your regular driver's license back.
Gotcha.
So now you'll be eligible for an occupational license right away, and we'll send you that information as well.
I already have that.
Okay, good. Well, the revocation will run concurrently within the suspension. I'll make sure that you follow those hours, because if you don't, if you're outside the hours, you could get an operating after revocation, which could be a criminal charge then as well. Okay, explain this.
Do you want
Now,
a due date?
sorry?
A due date?
How much time do you need to pay for the forfeiture?
I'm saving it. I can pay you right now if you want.
I'll give you 60 days to pay, so that way there's some time involved, and Mary will send you the paperwork for the 60 days as well. Okay, anything else, Mary? Okay, Ms. Russell, and now I have a question for you.
Yes.
What did you learn?
I learned that I should have started seeing a therapist a long time ago.
Is your therapist helping out with everything? So I just want to make sure that this doesn't happen again, and because if you get caught within,
it won't be happening again. It was stupid. It was for some reason I thought I needed to get the yard waste to the yard waste site instead of just waiting until Saturday and just trying to get things crossed off my list. And it was a beautiful afternoon. And
they close at 3 o'clock anyway on Saturdays, don't they? Or was this on Thursday?
On Saturdays, yes, but on this was a Thursday.
Okay. I live near the yard waste site. That's how I know about that. So yeah, I want to make sure that if you get a second one within 10 years, it becomes criminal penalties and it's a mandatory jail time. So just want to make sure that you avoid that and you're aware of that as well.
I am, sir. Thank you. Or Your Honor, excuse me.
That's okay. I've been called worse. So any other questions for me?
I assume all these things that you've told me will just be not reinstated, but said again in the paperwork. And
the documents will spell everything out for you.
Perfect.
Okay. With that, that should take care of it this evening. Thank you for appearing by Zoom this evening.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Russell.
Before I bring the next person in, she has a total of 5 citations. 2 were scheduled for November court date. I added them tonight. They were all given on the same day, the day of violation. So she may be thinking she has to come again. I've added them, they're on the list. Her name is Dean. The last name is Dean. and it's pronounced Tasha.
Tasha, okay.
So I'll bring her in.
Okay,
Here she comes.
all right. Hi, this is Matt Rothy. I'm the municipal judge for Stoughton. Are you Tasha Dean?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you for appearing this evening in Zoom. Our courthouse is still kind of closed, so we're here for a plea tonight. Let me review the plea options first. We don't take any trials or have any appearances or any hearings. Today is just about taking a plea. And I'll spell out what the plea is first, and then I can kind of review the elements and all the fines and suspensions that you're facing as well. Now, tonight we take a plea. Your 3 plea options are as follows: guilty, no contest, or not guilty. Now, a guilty plea means that you're admitting that you're guilty and you want to be found guilty. And I'll review the police report with a guilty plea, and if there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty and then impose the appropriate penalties. A no contest plea is similar to a guilty plea, but a conviction arising out of a no contest plea cannot be used against you. Let me illustrate that. Say if you're involved in a traffic accident, you're accused of running a stop sign. If you plead guilty, that person can use that guilty plea and try and sue you for damages later. If you enter a no contest plea, you've never admitted your guilt. Whereas they can say that, she was convicted of a stop sign violation. You never admitted your guilt, so you preserve your guilt, so people can't use you don't incriminate yourself. In other words, you never say that you're guilty, so people can, they wouldn't, if they sued you, they wouldn't be able to use that against you, so to speak. You understand that no contest plea?
Yes.
Okay. The other plea would be a not guilty plea. Now, a not guilty plea would be that you don't believe that you either committed the violations or that the city could not prove their case. The city has a burden of proof of proving their case as well. So that's what would be the third not guilty plea. And what I do for not guilty pleas is I have you meet with the city prosecutor to see, it's called a pretrial conference, to see if there's any issues and see if you can resolve it short of a trial. If not, if you can't resolve it within in the days of COVID, what we're doing is that we're having the pretrial conferences. They used to be in person. Now they're just either by phone or by Zoom, or however you and the prosecutor want to arrange it then. You understand that as well?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, that explains the plea process. What I'm going to do, I have your police report, Miss Dean, but I'm just going to review it for your address and make sure that I have your correct address. Because we have to send out everything by letter now. We can't really do it in person anymore. So it's Tasha, correct?
Yes.
All right, I will just call you Miss Dean. That's the proper court etiquette for doing that. Do I have your correct address on Town Court in Windsor?
Yes, Your Honor. 4313 North Town Court.
Yep, number 2, is it?
Yeah. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, I think my clerk was telling me, Mary, who also appears, that we have 5 citations and 3 were for tonight and 2 are for November. If you like, I can just kind of address all of them right now. That way you would not have to come back in November. Does that sound okay?
Okay. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. The first one we have is a operating while under the influence citation. Do you know what operating under the influence is?
Operating. Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
Your Honor.
The elements are basically that you're operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of intoxicant and either upon a state highway or highway in the state or premises held up for the public use. Those are the elements for that. Now, the penalties are as follows. There's a forfeiture of between $150 and $300. What happens is that if you're found guilty, they mandate that you take an assessment and they surcharge you $355. By the time you get done with court costs, the forfeiture is usually between $800 and $1,000. In looking at your citation, you're at $861. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, your driver's license, I can revoke the penalties for driver's license will be, I can revoke your driver's license between 6 and 9 months. Now, that usually is dependent on your alcohol level. If you're 1.5 or below, I typically issue a 6-month driver's license revocation. If you're a 1.5 to a 0.2, it's usually 7. And if you're above a 0.2, it's usually 8. If there's an accident involved, oftentimes I will add a month to that. That's how I get to the 6 to 9 month driver's license revocation. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. In addition, if you're found guilty, the state mandates that you have to take an alcohol and drug assessment class. Now, what that usually entails is that you have to, it's usually a 90-minute assessment to determine if you have, if you're deemed a heavy drinker or not, if there might be a substance abuse problem. And then after that, they usually require that you attend follow-up classes, usually between 6 and 8 group sessions. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. In addition to that, excuse me, I have to talk a lot, so I need a drink of water at times. All right. Thank you for your patience. In addition to the alcohol assessment, the DOT assesses 6 points for this citation. If you accumulate 12 or more within a year, then you lose your driver's license is suspended. Now, suspension is a little different from revocation, as I mentioned before. Suspension is usually for failure to pay for fines. It's less severe. Revoke means that you've had it taken away for some other serious traffic offense. You understand the difference?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So if your blood alcohol content was a 1.5 or higher, the state law also mandates that I order an interlock ignition device be installed on all vehicles registered in your name for a period of 12 months. You will also be surcharged $50 for that. In addition to that 12-month period, not just all vehicles registered in your name, but anytime you drive a vehicle, you have to have a interlock ignition device be installed. Now, usually what that means is that you can't sit this 12 months out by just not driving. The 12 months would start when you first get what the DOT calls a product, either a regular license or an occupational license or some type of license. So that's usually when the IID would start. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That concludes the penalties for the OWI. Now, you also received the PAC charge. That stands for prohibited alcohol concentration. Now, the OWI and the PAC has the same penalties as the OWI, the $800 to $1,000 fine, the 6 to 9 month driver's license revocation, AODA requirements and 6 points, and possible IID. I can find you guilty of both the OWI and PAC, but I can only impose penalties once. So those penalties don't double; they just stay the same as what I've read before. You understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now that covers the OWI and PAC questions or citations, unless you have any questions for me.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, let me review your other citations. You were also received a operating while suspended citation. That citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. Now, $124 is actually $50 plus cost. $50, they add basically jail and crime lab fees, county fees, city fees. That's how the 50 goes to 124. The forfeiture range on this, you're actually at the minimum. It's actually, no, I'm sorry. It's $0 to $1,000. So you're not at the minimum, but you're on the low end of the scale. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you understand what operating after suspension is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Basically that the DOT suspended your license and then you were driving afterwards. Okay. And that's 3 demerit points. Now that concludes my instructions on the operating after suspension, unless you have any type of any questions for me regarding that citation.
No, Your Honor.
All right. The other 2 citations that I have, and Miss Dean, how old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay. The reason why I asked that is that the possession of paraphernalia, there's a suspension for people under 17, but no suspension for people above 17. So it's a quirk in the laws, but I don't have to cover that with you. The other citation is possession of THC. Now this citation carries a penalty of $439. Do you understand what possession of THC is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, basically the THC is the active ingredient in marijuana and was found on your person. Now this the forfeiture range on the marijuana or THC citation is $50 to $1,000. You're actually at $300 plus costs. What I do for these is if you complete any alcohol or drug assessment class, I reduce the forfeiture from $439 to $124. You understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Any questions regarding the THC citation?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So the last citation I have is possession of drug paraphernalia. That citation carries a penalty of $187. That's $100 plus cost. The forfeiture range on this is $50 to $1,000. Do you understand what possession of drug paraphernalia is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so basically that you were possessing items to help you ingest probably THC or other drugs that have been deemed illegal. You know, understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, any questions regarding the drug paraphernalia citation?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so that you've been given 5 citations. Now, I can't dismiss any of them. If you wanted to have some of them either dismissed or reduced, I can reduce the THC if you complete the assessment, but otherwise I can't really dismiss any of the other citations. If you want to basically have the other citations dismissed, then my suggestion would be to enter a not guilty plea, talk to the prosecutor and see if you can reach an agreement on all these citations. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, any questions for me regarding any of these citations?
No, Your Honor.
Now is the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No, not guilty.
Okay, with a not guilty plea, what we'll do is we'll schedule this. When somebody enters a not guilty plea, I schedule that for a pretrial conference with the city attorney. Before you go to trial, it's a chance to meet with the city prosecutor to see if you can resolve any of these citations. So that's called a pretrial conference. And I'll order that you attend it. Now, normally we have these in person. However, because of COVID, it will likely either be by phone or by Zoom. It's up to you and the prosecutor. Now, when the prosecutor sends you a notice to appear at that date or call at that date, make sure that you do. Because if you don't call or appear, the prosecutor will say to me that Ms. Dean didn't call me. I'll find you defaults and I'll find you guilty and I'll impose all those penalties. And that'll be the last thing that you want because you didn't get a chance to have them reduced or tell your side of the story. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Excuse me, I send out the notices and she'll be scheduled for November 18th at 3 p.m. And I'll send her the phone number to call. The city attorney is doing all the pretrials by phone.
Okay.
So,
Is that clear, Ms. Dean? My clerk is Mary and she'll send out the notice. Make sure on the 18th at 3 o'clock that you call the prosecutor.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Just follow, make sure that you call, and if you can resolve it, then the prosecutor will send the results to me. If you can't, we'll schedule the matter for a trial then as well.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right. That'll take care of it for this evening. Thank you for appearing via Zoom this evening, Ms. Dean.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Take care.
I have one more, John Richards. Richards is the last name.
Okay. All right. Wait till Ms. Dean it leaves. Okay. All right. John Richards.
There he is.
You are Mr. Richards? Oh, he's muted.
Oh, I'll unmute him. Let's see. Okay.
All right. Mr. Richards, can you hear me?
Yep, now I can.
Okay, thank you. And you're John Richards?
I am.
All right. This is Stoughton Municipal Court. I'm Judge Matt Rothy. Thank you for appearing this evening via Zoom. Let me check something quickly. Okay. We'll take pleas tonight. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty. A guilty plea means that you're not contesting the citation. I'll review the pleas first, and then I'll review your address and the citation against you. So guilty plea means that you're admitting guilt and you want it to be over with, and I'll find you guilty. And if the police report indicates so, I'll find you guilty and impose a fine. No contest means that you're not admitting to guilt, but you want it to end tonight. You're not ever admitting to guilt. So we use no contest pleas a lot if there's an accident or a citation. That if somebody causes an accident basically and enter no contest plea, if they get sued later, they can't. The defense attorney or the attorney can't claim that they entered a guilty plea and basically admitted their guilt if they've been sued.
Yeah, no, I mean, what it comes down to is, I mean, I was speeding,
Hang on. Before,
yeah,
I can't really hear anything. So, but then not guilty plea means that you don't believe the city did it or prove it. But if this is a speeding citation, let me review the speeding citation. I'll tell you what's going on. So don't tell me that you were speeding or anything like that. And I wouldn't be able to hear the case then. So.
Oh, okay.
So, all right, let me pull up your police report. All right, do I have your correct address on Walnut Street in Oregon?
Yeah, correct. 290
All right.
Walnut Street.
Speeding city highway 11 to 15 miles an hour limit. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
It's a highway and I was going faster than the posted sign, I think.
Exactly. So, well put. The forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. You're actually at the minimum forfeiture of $98.80. You're at 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. Now, what I do on these is, if you were, Mr. Richards, if you were under a not guilty plea, the prosecutor would automatically drop it down to 1 to 10 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4. As a way of saving time, the prosecutor is giving me permission to make the same offer in court. So if you enter a no contest plea, I would find you guilty of 1 to 10 over, which would be 3 points instead of 4. You would still be facing the same minimum forfeiture of $98.80.
Okay, so basically it just changes that it's 1 to 10 over versus 50, what is it?
11 to 15 over.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think that's fair. I mean,
Okay.
So what
All
are
right.
we saying? No contest then?
Yeah, you're ready to enter a plea?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. You're entering a plea of no contest, is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. With the no contest plea to 1 to 10, let me read the police report. I want to make sure there's a factual basis for your plea. What I do is I review the police report just to make sure that you are they cited you correctly and there wasn't any improprieties going on.
Okay.
Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis. I'll accept your no contest plea and find you guilty of speeding 1 to 10 over, which result in 3 demerit points. And the minimum forfeiture is $98.80. That there's nothing I can do about that. How much time do you need to pay the $98.80?
I mean, I can pay it whenever, like the next couple weeks.
30 days be sufficient?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, I'll send you a notice just indicating that the forfeiture will be due within 30 days.
Okay, perfect.
Now you appeared in court. Anything else you'd like to tell me?
Nope, that's
all.
all.
All right, sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you for appearing via Zoom. We'll send the notice out to you on the Walnut Street address. And if
Okay.
you have any questions, there'll be a number that you can call.
Okay, thank you very much.
Richards,
Have a good night.
you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Just a reminder, we put on all our paperwork, we talked about it at the beginning, that we're giving them 60 days due to the pandemic. So
Okay,
it's no big deal, but just
so
to remind
when he
you.
gets that, he'll get a break then.
Yeah. So I have someone else in the wait that just came into the waiting room.
Okay,
I'll find out who it is. Did you want to do defaults first and wait?
no, let's take care of the person in the waiting room first.
It may be one of the parties for the 6 o'clock trial.
Okay,
So I'll
if
find
it's
out.
one for
who-
the, yeah,
I'll
if it's
find
one
out
for
who
the-
it is.
oh, sorry.
Sorry.
If it's for a 6 o'clock, just say we'll be with them at 6.
Okay.
So.
All right. I guess I have to bring them in to find out who they are. There's no way to speak with them, so
Okay.
find out who this is. I just have a phone number. Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Hi. Can I
Hello.
get your name?
Heather Reed.
Okay, you're here for the 6 o'clock hearing?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to put you in the waiting room, and we'll get back to you in just a short while, just so you're aware. We know you're there, but we'll just put you in there because it's still a little early. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if the city attorney is going to be present tonight. That's the reason I wanted to put her out. So you might, I don't know how you feel. It's just a reopen.
Oh, okay.
The motion to reopen is in the file with all of the police reports
Okay. I'll take
under
a
her
look at
name.
that.
So I
Okay.
don't know if you want to wait till 6 for that or just.
I'll wait till 6 for that. So
Okay.
let's kind of do all the rest of the defaults.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Abner Miguel, Alicia Acevedo, default judgment. Jack Anderson is a default judgment. Ariel Annan is a default judgment. Caden Archwald is a default judgment. By the way, is there any difference in how you can hear me versus my normal room or this one?
Not at all. No.
Okay. I'll probably do this one because there's more room for me to spread out here too.
Yeah,
So.
that's the same with me. That's why I'm in the basement too.
Timothy Austin is a bond forfeiture. Alex Baker is a default judgment. Timothy Barsness is a default judgment. Sam Baugh is a bond forfeiture. York Blyer is a bond forfeiture. Jason Bowling is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Cortez Braxton is a default judgment. Elaine Brenz is a bond forfeiture. David Bunell is a default judgment. Michael Cady is a default judgment. Cassandra Calkins is a default judgment. Patricia Chapman is a bond forfeiture. Garrett Chitwood is a bond forfeiture. Caitlin Coleman is a bond forfeiture. Paul Coleman is a default judgment. Michael Colombe is a default judgment. We've already taken care of Ms. Davis. All right. Janali Grace Dempsey has a plea sheet. Let me take a look. This is working out nicely now.
Good.
Is that in with the initials?
Yes, they're all together there.
All right.
I put in caps, please sheet.
Yeah, I know. I got it this time.
All right.
Oh, but I can't find the plea sheet. Hang on.
After her name.
Oh, no, I know on the sheet. I don't know where the plea sheet is on the computer.
It's listed in that file. Let me bring it up so I can explain to you. Oh. I think I named it police reports and miscellaneous documents. It should be in there under her name, her last name. What is her last name?
It is Dempsey.
Dempsey. So if you go to Dempsey.
There it is. I missed it before. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was in the right spot. I just, I don't know. Okay, citation number. She was cited for operating without a valid driver's license. No contest plea. She updated her address. And then I was trying to practice driving. I want to get my license in the future. I'm truly sorry and will do my best on getting my license in my future. Hang on, try to think.
Yeah.
I'll accept her no contest plea and find her guilty. How much was the forfeiture? It's a minimum forfeiture as well. So,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave the forfeiture as is and give 60 days to pay.
Okay, all right.
So I actually, Mary, I printed out the initial appearances. It actually works out better if I print it out ahead of time. So. All right, Mark Doring is a default judgment. All right, Daniel Dubois, another one that I have to look up. Hang on. Oh, I lost you.
And this one did send an insurance card.
Oh, here's what I'm gonna do. Okay. Oh boy. Oh, sorry. This is operating motor vehicle without proof of insurance. Oh, not guilty plea.
Well, but he did send his insurance card, and that's right.
Attached documentation. Okay, it's the same card. All right, just wasn't. Either got it updated or yet. On the court's own motion, we'll dismiss the citation. He proved that he has valid, a valid insurance.
Okay.
Kelly Dugan is a default judgment. Dawson Dunn is a bond forfeiture. Adrian Dutter is a bond forfeiture. Christina Dutter is a bond forfeiture. Cale Drierson is a default judgment. Default judgment. Thomas Drierson is a default judgment of both citation. Rick Edwardson is a bond forfeiture. David Edgener is a bond forfeiture. Michael Errett is a bond forfeiture. Joseph Erickson is a bond forfeiture. Quina Flores, a no contest plea. There it is. Points back, that would be awesome. Hang on a second. I'll treat that as if they appeared. Oh, this was, okay, there it is. 20 to 24, I'll reduce that to 4 points instead of 6. Same forfeiture, 4 points, but the same forfeiture, 60 days to pay.
Okay.
All right, next would be Dylan Foster as a default judgment. James Franklin is a default judgment on both citations. Carly Frutiger is a default judgment. Jasmine Garcia is a default judgment. Austin Gutzlow is a default judgment of both citations. Nettie Hatchie is a default judgment. Alec Hahn is a default judgment on both citations. Trevon Marquise Harold Halverson Williams is a default judgment on both citations. James Hammis is a default judgment. Alan Hansen is a default judgment of both citations. Christine Hansen. Plea sheet for not guilty plea. Uh-oh.
And there's some error by the DOT and.
Hang on. My screen kind of.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Now it's blanked out. I have you, and that's it.
Wow.
Okay, it's back.
Okay, good.
It's like the power blanked out for a second. I don't know what happened. All right. Let me go in and get my documents again.
Okay.
All right, so this was Christine Hansen. Hang on a second, I'm having trouble pulling anything up. I wonder if it's downstairs. Our server is okay. There it is.
Okay.
It took a while. Oh, not guilty plea, hang on. Just enter a not guilty plea and schedule it for a pre-trial conference.
Okay.
I think that has to, that's not within my discretion.
Okay.
Okay. Next is Theodore Hansen as a bond forfeiture. Jermaine Harrison is a default judgment on both citations. Next is Isaac Hekimovich. All right, good. It's popping up again. Not guilty plea. Okay. Provided proof is in glove box, he couldn't find it at the time. The court's own motion will dismiss the citation. Okay. Aaron Henderson is a default judgment on both citations. Deborah Hill is a bond forfeiture. Marin Hill is the default judgment. Daniel Hoffman is a default judgment. Tyler Horton is a default judgment. Zachary Hubert is a bond forfeiture. William High is a bond forfeiture. Apollonio Jackson is a default judgment. Kimberly Jensen is a bond forfeiture. Victoria Jones is a default judgment. West Jones is a default judgment on both citations. Wesley Lloyd Edward Jordan Buskager is a bond forfeiture. Curtis Joyce is a default judgment. Phyllis Huisto. Our docket's returned to a normal size tonight, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it's a lot more prep work.
Okay. All right, this is another insurance one. They provided proof. Court on its own motion is going to go ahead and dismiss this citation. Yeah. Okay. Charles Kearns is a default judgment. Brayton Kilcoyne is a default judgment. Cody Killerlane is a default judgment. JKK is a bond forfeiture. Terry Clade is a default judgment. Taylor Krukenberg is a default judgment. Jeffrey Kruger is a bond forfeiture. Mariah Lenzendorf is a default judgment. Tyrone Letman is a default judgment on all three citations. Jared Long is a default judgment. Aaron Luxinger is a default judgment. Kevin Lund is a bond forfeiture. Parker Lund is a default judgment. Shane Manchester is a default judgment. Corey Manier is a default judgment. On all three citations, Raman Marfori is a default judgment. Andrew Mathis is a default judgment. Robert Maurer is a bond forfeiture. John McGee is a default judgment. Eric Malas is a default judgment on both citations. Florentina Melendez Serrano is a bond forfeiture. Zachary Midstocky is a default judgment on both citations. Bambi Mitchell is a default judgment. Gerald Mitchell is a default judgment on all three citations. Anthony Monroe is a bond forfeiture. David Murray is a bond forfeiture. Anthony Nelson is a will accept a no contest plea and find him guilty. Any explanation for the no contest plea?
No.
Just accept the no contest plea and find him guilty. Then have him impose a face amount on the citation. Jillian Newman is a bond forfeiture. Joshua Newsom is a default judgment. Joshua Newsom is a default judgment. Theodore Robert Nicholson is a default judgment. Taylor Olivier is a default judgment. Oliver, however, Olivier or Olivier. Robin Olson is a bond forfeiture. Christopher Warren Overson is dismissed pursuant to the city's motion. Candace Peterson is a default judgment. Alan Pitney is a bond forfeiture. Corrine Redmond is a bond forfeiture. Heather Rigel is a default judgment. John Richards just appeared. Lloyd Rowley is a bond forfeiture. James Rundy is a default judgment. Elias Rust is a default judgment. Matthew Satterfield is a default judgment on both citations. Okay, Janice Schnack. Okay.
She didn't even know, apparently something happened with her bank, and she sent a check to the DOT. So now she has proved that it was paid. So I don't know what with that one, if you.
I clicked on the wrong plea sheet.
Uh-oh.
Operating after suspension registration. There was a mistake, or she didn't know about it?
Right, she wasn't aware of it. She's
okay. On the court's motion, the citation be dismissed.
And this next gentleman, he's pleading not or no contest but since it's an underage drinking, he is looking to have approval to attend the AODA to not have a driver's license.
Yeah, perfect. So what I'll do is I'll find him guilty and then withhold penalties until he completes the alcohol classes. Instead of 60, I usually give 90 days to complete the
90
alcohol
days.
assessment, correct? Yeah, we'll do that. So standard plea that if there's a driver's license and suspension, if he does not complete it, if there is no driver's license, suspension, and reduced forfeiture.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, yeah.
Daniel Simonson is the default judgment on all 3 citations. Travis Sternberg is a default judgment. John Stockstead is a bond forfeiture. Tasha Swenson is a default judgment. Jeremy Tiffany is a bond forfeiture. John Tell Tuckenberry is a default judgment. Abu Bakar.
That one, he called at like 2 minutes to 5 and is entering a not guilty plea. So just
We'll enter a not guilty plea for those 3. All right. Benita Turner is a bond forfeiture. Phyla Avang is a bond forfeiture. Jose Roberto Velasquez Arandia is a default judgment. Tommy West is a default judgment. Ronald Wethel is a bond forfeiture. Tracy White is a default judgment. Derek Williams is a default judgment. Nancy Wilson is a bond forfeiture. Jacqueline Ann Yelland is a bond forfeiture.
Okay, and it looks like we have 2 more people in the waiting room.
Court's going to take if you want to find out, actually, how about this? Let me call back in about 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll talk, then I'll admit them and talk to them and find out who they are.
Yep.
Okay.
I will, let me X out of this.
Okay.
And let me X out of this, and then I'm minimizing. I'll leave and I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay. Hi, Amy. How are you? Hi there.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can, yes. How are you?
Thank you. Uh-oh. Oh.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Got it.
Matt just took a break, so he'll be back in a few minutes. I'm just trying to see who's in the waiting room here. So we have a few more people. So if you just bear with me as we're
Sure.
doing this here.
Oh, I'm in my sunroom and usually we don't have the lights. I don't usually have the lights on when I'm working, but now it's getting dark.
Yeah, I
It looks
know.
kind of, I hope it doesn't look like Christmas lights. Best I got.
All right. At this, do you have the docket that I sent for hearings tonight?
Yeah, I know there's 2 motions to reopen. Attorney Jonan did. Yeah,
right.
did,
Okay, good. So you did
reach
get
out.
that. She's waiting in the waiting room. So we have another person, Heather Reed, I think is her name. She got here first. So I'll let Attorney Jonan sit in the waiting room and then bring Miss Reed in so she's ready when the judge gets back.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Hi, is this Heather Reed?
This is.
Hi, I'm really sorry to keep you waiting so long. It took a little longer than we expected. So the judge will be here in just a few minutes. So if you don't mind, you're going to be the next person. You're in line. So, okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
think you're muted.
Me?
No, there we go. Yeah, there you are.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Hi, I'm Mary. I just wanted to let you know we have 2 hearings that are pretty quick. They're just requests to reopen. So I'm going to keep you in the waiting room until everyone is here for the trial, just so you know what's going on. Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Is that for Dunkirk or one of the other?
Trial, yeah, it's 6 o'clock, yeah.
So I don't panic.
Really?
It's the trial.
Oh, hi there. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello.
Attorney Jonan? I'm sorry, Heather. I'm Attorney Jonan.
Yes, Your Honor. Good evening.
No, I'm Mary. I'm the court clerk. The judge is just taking a brief break for a minute, but I just wanted to let you know we have 1 hearing just before you, so I'm going to keep you in the waiting room. But just so you're aware, we'll get to you in just a few minutes.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me
Thank
know.
you. This is a whole new way of doing things for, what they say about old dogs, so,
Takes some getting used to, my goodness.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
Actually, I went to law school with Attorney Jonah, and I don't think I've seen him since
Wow.
2012.
Yes, he has quite a few cases right now with us. Pretty popular. And just a reminder to you that we are being televised. I'm hoping that the person who's recording took a break or stopped it while the judge is gone, but I'm not sure. So just so you're aware that we may be on TV right now. So I always forget that. There he is. Your Honor, I have Heather Reed, who is the first hearing, and Attorney Collins O'Hara is also present.
Okay. Ms. Reed, this is Judge Matt Rothy. I'm the municipal judge for Stoughton Municipal Court. It's my understanding you wanted to reopen?
Yeah.
Okay. And you filed the correct paperwork, and that means that you believe you had a valid reason for a defense. Is that correct?
Well, I think that I wanted to plead no contest. I just wanted to be in the court hearing for it. But then something got mistaken with the paperwork or something, and I wasn't able to be at the first one because I didn't know about it because I didn't get it in the mail.
Okay.
So I just wanted to be at the court hearing for this speeding ticket.
Oh, okay. And what was the speeding citation for? Like how many over?
I think it was 10 miles over the speed limit.
Okay. And you just want to make sure that you're present for that, and then you get the proper citation. Is that right?
Yeah, and I wanted to see if there's anything I can do about it or anything.
Okay. Mary, do you have a copy of the citation in front of you?
I do. What happened is she had pled not guilty originally, and it was scheduled for a pretrial. She didn't receive the pretrial notice, so
Okay.
I can bring that up though.
How much was the speeding citation for?
The fine amount, $98.80.
And then how many miles hour over the limit?
Here, 10 over.
Okay, and that's 3 points?
Right, yes.
Okay. So Ms. Reed, okay, so Ms. Collins O'Hara, do you usually reduce these down to 2 points, defective speedometer, 347.41?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Ms. Reed, if it's okay with you, we can reopen the case, amended to defective speedometer, which would be 2 points instead of 3, the same forfeiture 9880, which is the minimum amount. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, I was just hoping if there's something I could do, because I was more worried about the points that,
Right.
was taken away from.
So we're reducing it from 3 to 2, and it's a non-moving violation. That's usually the lowest that Ms. O'Hara would go, and I would accept that that agreement between the parties.
Okay.
Okay,
And then
is
the
that acceptable?
$98 is due as well.
The $90.80. How much time do you need to pay?
I should be able to pay it.
I mean, I could give you 60 days if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Everything, is that all acceptable, Ms. O'Hara? Collins O'Hara, excuse me. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. What the court will do, court will reopen the case, amend the citation to defective speedometer, be 2 points, contrary to 347.41 and the ordinance adopting that. So the court will set the forfeiture of $98.80 and grant the defendant 60 days to pay. Okay, Ms. Reed, anything further?
No, I don't think so.
Ms. Collins O'Hara?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that will take care of it for that case this evening. Thank you, Ms. Reed, for appearing.
I just have one question.
Sure, certainly.
You can answer. I don't know how the points work when when it's an occupational license.
Oh, you have an occupational license?
Right.
Ms. Collins O'Hara, do you know? I don't think I've ever had that issue come up before.
I haven't either. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's why I was most worried about the points because of that.
When is your occupational license due? Or how long is the period for your occupational license?
I actually don't know that answer.
I can check it online if you want to hold for a few minutes.
Yeah, sure. We'll
Okay.
find out for you.
Sure. The occupational license expires on April 26th, 2022.
Okay. Now, Ms. Reed, you want to, I don't know the answer to that. Do you want to enter the no contest plea? I mean, I never had this issue come up before, how points would affect an occupational license. I know that you can't accumulate more than 12 points within a 1-year period. Is this your only pending citation?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll give you 2 options. Either you can accept the deal tonight, or we can hold a status conference in about 60 days to determine what needs to be done. I'll leave it up to you whether you want to do.
What's the status conference?
Just find out come back in 60 days and enter the plea at that point. I've already reopened the case. You know what? Why don't here's what I'm going to do. I'll do, I'll do my, the court will do some research so I can properly advise you the next thing. We're gonna reopen the case and then hold it open for 30 days, and I'll do some research to determine how a speedometer violation, a defective speedometer citation would affect an occupational license.
Okay.
Why don't
Would
we do
that be a
that?
better option?
I want to just make sure that I advise you what would happen then.
Okay.
So we will reopen the case. We'll hold it open for, Mary, if you could send out notices in about 30 days, we'll have just a kind of a status conference, and I'll look up to see what the penalties could be on an occupational license for a defective speedometer citation on an occupational license. And I've got to ask, what was your occupational license for 2.5 years? Is it OWI related?
Right.
Okay. All right. And Mary, if you could send me an email, just reminding me of this. That way I'll have to kind of do my homework.
I can just.
All right. I'll do that. So we'll have a status in 30 days. It's reopened, so you don't have a conviction on your record, and we can all come back then. Is that acceptable, Ms.
Okay,
Collins?
thank you so much.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, yep. Then we'll set it for a status conference in 30 days. Thank you, everybody.
Judge, the next person, Austin West, if you have your docket for the hearings. I just received notice this afternoon that he's being represented and his attorney is in the waiting room. So I'll bring
great.
Attorney Joan in and I'll bring him in.
Okay. He's on mute. Attorney Jonan, you're on mute.
There we go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You represent Mr. West,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you filed a motion to reopen?
I don't think I did yet. I think he had previously filed something.
Okay. All right. But the motion is still valid. You're not opposing it for any reason?
No, I'm not opposing it.
Okay. The city's position on the motion to reopen?
No objection to reopening, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll go ahead and reopen the motions, and then we'll schedule that for a pretrial conference. And my clerk, Mary, will send out notices. You two can meet and then just see if it can be resolved.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. And unless I hear from anything else from either party?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
No, thank you. Have a good night.
All right, that'll take care of it. Thank you.
Your Honor, before Attorney I'm trying, 1 second here. Let me remove him from the room. There we go. Okay, before you leave, there is another one. We had a sentencing hearing for Maria Esther Locken. She was not scheduled to appear. It was completion for an AODA assessment to avoid a 90-day driver's license suspension.
Okay.
She called and left a voicemail saying she's not going to do a bleeping assessment, and so I don't, she's not scheduled to appear though. So
is she here?
No, she's not. She was not scheduled to appear. So it's just, it was to review. Had she completed the assessment, it was for you to review that and approve it. But since she hasn't, should we go ahead and order the suspension, the 90 days?
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
I think that is as firm of a denial as I've ever heard. So.
All right, that was it.
Okay.
Then we just have the people for the trial, and that's a Dunkirk trial, so we won't.
Okay. So all done with me?
Yes. Thank you,
Have a
Ms.
good
Collins
night.
O'Hara. Good seeing you again.
You too. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All
What
right,
time is the
so
trial?
6 p.m.
Oh, are they waiting for me?
Yes.
Then let's have a trial.
All right, I'm going to admit. And there's one person I'm not sure who, I believe that's the defendant. I'm going to verify that. Hello, there's someone on the phone. Is this Stacy Friedrich?
Yep, it is.
Hi. Okay, good. You're here in front of the judge, and Attorney Belling is also present.
Okay, Thank you for appearing. The court will now call for Pleasant Springs versus Stacy Friedrich.
Yes,
Please state your
Dunkirk.
appearances.
Sorry, it's town of Dunkirk. Judge? Uh-oh, he's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Judge?
Yes. Did I blank out?
Yeah, sorry. It's
Okay.
town of Dunkirk.
Okay. Oh, thank you. So we'll call the case of Town of Dunkirk versus Stacy Friedrich. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I got the notice that my internet my internet is now unstable, but it's been working so far. So if I blank out like that, I might switch rooms in the house. So for Town of Dunkirk, please state your appearance.
Attorney Mary Bailing.
Okay. Good evening, Ms. Bailey. And for the defendant, Stacy Friedrich, did I say that correctly?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I noticed that both parties are appearing via Zoom. It's my understanding that this is a speeding citation and it's scheduled for a trial tonight.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Friedrich, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, and the parties have had a chance to resolve it and have been unable to resolve the citation. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Mr. Friedrich, is that a fair statement?
Yeah, we spoke once, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, for that. All right. So we'll have a trial tonight. We'll have a trial via Zoom. And Mr. Friedrich, have you ever had a trial before? If not, I'll explain it anyway. So Miss Belling represents the town of Dunkirk. She's the prosecutor and they have the burden to prove that you were speeding. Their burden is by clear, satisfactory, and convincing evidence. Now, this is a little unusual. Usually we'll have a hearing or a trial in person, but this time, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we'll have it via Zoom. The town will go first. They'll present evidence. I mean, actually, let me back up. Either party can make what's called an opening argument, just a summary of what you believe the case will show. You can either make it or you can waive it. It depends on. It's up to you. Do you understand that so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and then after the opening statement, then we'll take testimony. The town will go first, and then the town will present witnesses, and they'll do what's called a direct examination. They ask direct questions of the witness. You're allowed to then ask questions of the town's witnesses. That's called a cross-examination. Now, normally, direct is an open-ended question. Cross can be open-ended, but also can be suggestive of an answer. Do you understand the direct and cross-examination as I've described them so far?
Yes.
Okay. After the town presents its witnesses, then you'll get your chance to present your witnesses. You can either have witnesses testify on your behalf, or you can testify on your own behalf. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And then after you or your witnesses testify, the town will be allowed to cross-examine you, just like you're able to cross-examine their witnesses.
Okay.
And then afterwards, either side can call rebuttal witnesses. In other words, another witness to refute the facts of the direct examination. And then once the testimony has ended, I'll close the evidentiary portion of the hearing. And then we have what are called closing arguments. Now, the town will go first, you can go second, and then the town, because they have their burden by clear, satisfactory, and convincing evidence, the town will go last. Any questions regarding the procedures I've set forth tonight?
Not on my end.
No,
Bailey
Your Honor, I
says
don't
no.
believe so.
Mr. Friedrich, do you have any questions for me?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Would the town of Dunkirk like to make an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe this is a fairly straightforward speeding case. We will be able to prove that it was Mr. Friedrich that was speeding in excess of the 55-mile-per-hour limit on the road, that he was stopped by the officer within the town of Dunkirk, identified, and that the radar, specifically moving stationary radar, showed that he was violating the citation or the ordinance.
Okay. Mr. Friedrich, I don't want to cut you off, Ms. Bailey. Did that conclude your opening remarks?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Friedrich, would you like to make an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor. I just believe, based on the fact that I've already taken time off of work and went to a court appearance once that I wasn't notified of due to the COVID stuff or whatever, And then also because we're at the end of October, this ticket was early in the year. It's been months and months and months that I would ask for a dismissal on the grounds it's been forever. Plus, I've already showed up for court when wasn't notified.
Okay. I'm going to treat that as a motion to dismiss in the opening arguments. I'm going to deny your motion to dismiss because, well, I'll listen to it. Actually, I'll treat it as a motion to dismiss. I'm not going to decide on that right now. What I'll do is I'll take that motion into consideration as I hear the evidence. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Friedrich, for an opening statement?
No, Your Honor. Do I get to know who witnesses are or no? Or...
Yes, the witnesses will be announced.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Balling, do you have any do you have any witnesses?
I thought I had a witness, Your Honor. I don't see that he has appeared at this point. Unfortunately, it would be a Deputy Mark Bork.
Okay. Do you need a few minutes to call him?
I have texted him or emailed him while we were waiting when I realized he isn't showing up. I spoke with him prior to trial by email, and I'm not sure where he is.
Okay. Mary, is there anybody in the waiting room? Mary, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I'm having problems with my screens here.
Okay.
I will double check the waiting room.
Okay.
Nope, there's no one in the waiting room.
Okay. Ms. Belling, I'll get 5 because we had a hearing before and the deputy did show up, but nobody else did. So 5 minutes to have the witness appear. I'll note for
Thank
the
you.
record at 6:19.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, Your Honor, I'm not receiving any response.
Okay, we'll wait. Mary, I just get an icon of the city hall.
I had muted, I had stopped the camera for a while, that's all.
Okay, is there anybody in the waiting room?
Nope.
Okay, all right. I'll note for the record that it is 6:25. Gave the town 6 minutes to produce a witness that they've been unable to do so. Trial was originally scheduled for 6 p.m. More than 25 minutes later. Mr. Friedrich, in his opening arguments, made a motion, basically stated that the case should be dismissed. I consider that a motion. Based upon, and Ms. Bailing, do you have any other witnesses besides the officer?
No, that was my only witness, Your Honor.
Okay, based upon I'll find that the town does not have any witnesses. Based upon that fact, I will grant Mr. Friedrich's motion to dismiss. The case is dismissed.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Friedrich and Ms. Bailing, thank you for appearing tonight. That will take care of it for this evening. Feel free, you can go ahead and leave the meeting.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, anything else?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. And send me an email on that. That's an interesting question regarding the occupational license.
Occupational, yeah, okay.
I'll have to do some homework on that, I think, so.
I can do some checking too, because I know you're
Yeah.
busy. I'll send you what I have and then give you a reminder.
Okay, that might be a good question for the listserv as well.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you for appearing, and that will, well, I was excited to have a trial tonight, and it failed the second time. All right, until next time.
Okay, take care.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.